In Ghana, some parliamentary seats don't just carry political weight. They carry history, legacy, and even expectations. Some seats have been occupied by men whose influence have shaped Ghana's democracy till today. Such seats, or one of those seats, is the Ibuakwa South constituency seat. Now, that seat has been occupied by stalwarts like J.B. Dankwa, former President Akufo-Addo, and even Honorable Samuel Atachia. Now, today, we get to see who is in that big shoes, who gets to meet the expectations of their constituents as well, and even the country at large. Well, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. Come with me as we journey to Chebi. It's my first time. Oops! After long 2 hours, we're finally in Chebi, and I'm super excited. Okay, now the weather is just amazing, and I can't wait to meet this man. Maybe I should just disclose who we're talking to. Today, we're talking to Dr. Kingsley Agyemang, an insurer who is also a politician. Come along with me. Finally, we get to meet Dr. Kingsley Agyemang, who is holding that historic seat, the Ibuakwa South seat in Parliament. Pleasure to meet you.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
I hope it's not too late.
Oh, congratulations are in order.
I'm ready to dig into the man who is an insurer and decided he wants to play with politics. Well, welcome back to Personality Profile again, and I am excited. I get to speak to this gentleman who won his constituency seat with a little over 27,000. I really want to know where he got these 27,000 persons to come and cast their votes for him. And so, welcome, Doc. It's a pleasure again to meet you, and I love the whites and the greens. Chebi, it's amazing. Congratulations to you. How's it been so far? How many months into Parliament? Yeah,
a little over a month.
How's it been so far?
So far, so very good. The Halloween chamber and the presence of Parliament is a good one.
Yeah?
It's a very good one. A lot of myths before you get in, and while you get in, you realize that that organ of government is really an organ, as essential as the liver or the kidney or even the heart. So far, so good.
Was that one myth that you heard about Parliament until you entered and you thought that, wow?
You know, when we were growing up, you heard of MPs, and most of the time it doesn't come with a lot of unism, antagonism, because you get to see them on TVs and other platforms. But entering, realize that it is more or less a family.
Okay.
And I believe it is that unism that has strengthened the Fourth Republic. As for the things that we see happening in the chamber or the presence of Parliament, they are together. I see a lot of brotherliness. More or less, it's like a lodge or an association. So there's a lot of togetherness, and they all work for the common good of Ghana.
When you were vying for the Ibuakwa seat, did you anticipate the losing of the NPP? And if NPP did, I mean, of course you lost, but what was going to be your way out to cushion you?
I mean, there was no way. I believe we did what we had to do. We followed the templates religiously as it ought to have been done. We did a campaigning, we did a promotion, we did a house to house. Strategically, we had a very good message. But I believe our loss was more spiritual. It was more spiritual than what the physical nature is. You realize that when the eyes and the mouths become too much, God usually puts you in a place of quietness to be able to reflect, so that He reveals greater things to you. Because we did what we had to do. One will wonder how the Ghanaian will choose digitization or choose Nkoko Nkete over digitization. I believe we did what we had to do, and many are the intentions of men, by the Council of Jehovah that stands. We prepared, as a political party, needed to prepare for an election. And horses prepare for wars, but victory cometh from the Lord.
Okay.
So,
many have said that the NPP as a party, and we're definitely going to go into where you were born and all of that, which is what I am interested in. But many have said that the party in itself needs a bit of restructuring, some resetting. Do you agree with this?
But the question we should also be asking is that if we had won, would these issues would they have come up? MPP as a party has won and lost elections before. At any time you lose an election, it's an opportunity to rebuild. So that is where we are going to focus on. We are going to rebuild to come back stronger. And that is how it's supposed to be. Right. So we are definitely going to come back in 2028. We're going to form the next government in 2028. And all the greater things that has been revealed unto us in times of opposition, we're going to bring it up for the good people of Ghana.
And if you don't win?
That will be the way of God. Then we'll come again in 2032.
So we're in Chebi. Let me understand the system here. Where were you born? And by the way, is it Kibi or Chebi?
The traditional name is Chebi.
Okay.
But over the years, colonial times, pronunciation of Chebi was quite a difficult thing. So they British it by calling it Kibi.
Okay.
But here is Chebi.
Okay.
This is the traditional seat or the traditional headquarters of the Achimba Kingdom. So this is Chebi. This is JV Danquest Chebi.
And you're definitely sitting on JV Danquest's seat. How does that feel?
This is JV Danquest's seat. This is William Oforiate's seat.
Look at that.
This is a Akufo-Addo's seat.
Yeah.
And this is Nana-Addo's seat.
Yes.
Maybe we can say Orekwa Mofa. You know the stolen verdict, 93.
Maybe we put that on the side and stick to the one that doesn't have debate.
So, Orekwa Mofa, 93 to 96. Nana-Addo, 97 to 2008. Then Honorable Agyemang, 2009 to 2024 or 2025.
Let's get to know you better, because I am curious how you got him not to contest again, and even if he did, whether or not he was going to lose, how you won that seat, especially from Samuel Atachian, him particularly, at the primaries level. I know that he didn't contest again, but the switch from him to you, a lot of people didn't see coming, though we know that you had attempted it before and you lost. But that amount of support that we're learning you had was quite a huge one, and then we'll get to that. But let's understand, were you born here?
Okay, so I was born here in Chebi, but my mom comes from Esiakwa, which is also within the constituency. In fact, it's the next town after Chebi, the next biggest town after Chebi. So born here, I started schooling here at the Esiakwa Presby Primary. I went up to class 3. I was with my grandma one day. My mom had come from the city. It was a Friday. She came to tell me that the following day we'll be going to Accra. I'll be going for an interview in Accra at a school called John Tay, Reverend John Tay Memorial Institute. And when I go and I pass the interview and the school admits me, this is how she explained boarding school to me. She said to me, that school, when you close, you sleep in the school. So I was so excited. The excitement was not about the exams, but the excitement was me going to Accra the following day.
Right.
It's not easy living in Esiakwa in the late 80s and being told you'll be going to Accra the following day. I couldn't sleep the whole night. So the whole night, my mom was explaining to me, speaking English was very difficult because I was in Esiakwa Presby Primary. And hardly when those in Accra come on holidays and they're even speaking English, we saw them as people coming from different parts of the planet. So my mom was taking me through interview procedures. What is your name? How old are you? Those qualitative of preparing me. Mama Po, because she was a teacher. Lo and behold, the night was very long for me, but they broke up. We went to John Tay. We got there. The thing was not even an oral paper. It was English and maths written. So we entered. As for the maths, I was very familiar with.
Okay.
Because teacher Samuel Du and Co have taught us a lot of, teacher Boatin and Co, they've taught us a lot of mathematics. And like we usually say, numbers are numbers. I mean, figures don't lie.
Numbers are not numbers to me, unless it's money. But
unless it's money. Yes. My money is still number.
It's very difficult.
So a section of number means everything to you. Okay.
The part of my brain that's supposed to function for math It's just not there.
So it was mathematics. And then mathematics was so easy for me because then we were not talking. Then we got to English. It's a comprehension. I don't know, something. They had printed this thing back in the Siakwa Presby Primary. When there's exams or class tests, they write it on a board. All of you go out, the teacher will write it on the board. The smart ones will try and peep through the windows to see if they can catch a glimpse of some of them. They brought a paper, and the math I could relate. The English was something else. So after the session, I told my mom, "Ma, bro, from them, they men who they know more patro, but I did something. Sort of the math, oh my dear, I'll get all. You know, young, being young and being extremely enthusiastic about some of these things. So we came back. She brought me to Esiakwa. 2 or 3 weeks after, she came back to visit the madam and grandma and told me I had passed the exams, I have admission. So when she's going back, she'll take me. And the detachment from my core people here, my rural folks, my school and stuff was a very difficult one, but I was extremely excited. So fast forward, I got to Reverend John Tay Memorial Institute, admitted to class 3, and we started. The John Tay we see now, it was not John Tay about 30-something years ago.
Yeah.
You can imagine the topology of the area. Those days, Ofanko was very far from Accra, and that's where John Tay is now. Very bushy, very isolated from the city center. Even those times of Ofanko itself, Taifa and Co were all not developed. To come and talk of John Tay, which was situated between Ofanko and Pokwase. So you entered the school. I made some acquaintance when we were going to write the exams.
Okay.
So I saw them as soon as my mom entered the school.
They were lucky to have been admitted.
They were also admitted. I didn't even realize my mom had left the school. Because when I saw my friends, we were all over. Then we slept. The following day, I realized I was in a different environment. What is this? So we went to the classroom. And the first thing the teacher that came, Mr. Smith, came was, he said something in English, which I wasn't so comfortable. So I didn't understand what he meant. I remember, I think it was vernacular. We don't know speaking of vernacular here. But later I got to know Zahayan country. And I realized that I'm in for something.
Problem, Beba.
So even when people do things to you, you're unable to narrate your story. You can't say much. So I remember the first term exams, out of 36 people, I was 33. And, so when I came back home, my mom being a teacher, she had to finish the next term syllabus with me before I get to school the next term.
Yeah.
So we went, and second term, I came 19th.
Oh, that's impressive.
Very impressive. Then the third term, I came 10th.
Oh, wow.
And ever since, we took our level and we're flying.
And you stayed with it.
Yeah,
but how old were you by this time? With your class 3?
I was about, is it 8?
Yeah.
Between 8 and 9 thereabout.
Yeah. But did you not care about your grandmother at all? Some grandchildren are very attached to their grandparents.
Yeah, I was, but I had always, any time there was vacation, I want to come to Esiakwa.
Okay.
To come and see my grandma, to come and see my friends, and to be able to start speaking some English to them, you know. The intelligent guy has come to town, new kid. I mean.
And by this time, where was your dad?
My dad was an engineer of the Ghana Highways Authority, so they were constructing roads all over Ghana. My mom was also a teacher, being transferred across the region and stuff like that. So I was most of the time with my grandma during vacations, or I go to my mom.
Okay.
I was more attached to, because I had the opportunity here in Esiakwa to be the leader.
At least the man from Accra has come.
The man from Accra, the man who has gone to John Tay.
And John Tay at the time, really?
No, let's not take it for granted.
I was just going to ask.
John Tay at the time, I would say, I don't know a school now that could be compared to John Tay at the time. I think it was the first privately younger basic boarding school at the time.
Yes.
Very revered, but extremely expensive.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Extremely expensive at the time.
Okay, well, so when you went to Jonte Plus, when you were living with your grandmother here, at the time, did you consider yourself a very advantaged child? Or you know, some people go to Jonte not because, or the likes of Jonte, not because their parents can afford it, but their parents were ready to sacrifice.
So
which class did you belong to?
So before I went, or while at it, I couldn't measure the impact. It was afterwards that I could relate with the sacrifices that my parents were making.
Right.
And that has been something that has been etched to me. Way back, I said to myself that I have to do everything possible to make sure that when I have a family, I'll give them also the very best that I can.
Were you an only child?
No, we were two, me and my bigger sister.
Okay, where was she at the time?
She was also here.
With your grandmother?
With my grandmother.
And do you recall the day they packed your things and you're going to Jonte? What was she? Did she understand it?
She could relate because she was a bit older. She's about 4 years older than me. And when my mom comes to visit at Jonte, most of the time, if she's home, she came with her.
Okay.
So it was a very interesting transition. A rural boy now making a lot of inroads at Jonte then. You know, Jonte stood at a time for the creative art.
Yes.
The band, the singing and stuff like that.
Did you do anything of
no,
the sort?
Young person, small boy from the village who had just come, speaking English was even a challenge. You had to remain within a very limited social environment because there are so many things I needed to learn so fast.
Do you recall can you replay any events where maybe your classmates did something very painful to you?
So there was this guy, Peter Amwa.
You remember his name?
Peter. We call him Peter. I think he started class 1 and others at Jonte.
Okay.
So more or less, they were the frontliners at Jonte at the time. Peter Amwa was a Nima boy because he lived in Nima. Very great guy. Peter took my Milo. And I told him, Famadi Mami, hey, you are speaking, he said it in English. You are speaking vernacular. You are speaking vernacular. I'm going to report you to Mr. Mompi. Then I was there, Mr. Mompi. They summoned me before Mr. Mompi. And Mr. Mompi was asking me, they have said their things in English. So Mr. Mompi asked me, then, if I remember, he said, hey, Kingsley, village boy, what does this mean? Then I went like, it means.
Just say, and yes, how Milo, no Yanjio.
It means that all of them started laughing at me. It means that I was just pointing at him.
Oh my
Speak.
Goodness. Oh my goodness.
So there was no adjudication of the case, and I lost the case
Today,
on the grounds.
If you see,
oh, Peter is a very good guy. I met him about 3 weeks ago. He came to even support my campaign.
Oh, that's
and
good
stuff
to
like
know.
that. So,
how many years did you spend in Jonte?
Also from class 3. From class 3 to JSS 3.
Okay.
So
okay.
About 10 years or so.
That's quite a lot. Yes. And your secondary school was where?
Secondary, I came to Pope John.
Okay.
Pope John in Kofor Radio
yes.
here. My dad insisted.
Why?
I went to Pope John. I think for the Pope John is a very great school. And going to Pope John's, I remember that was the beginning for so many people. Their first time in boarding school. But I was more or less a professor.
You were.
So going to Pope John, I went all by myself.
Okay.
I didn't need my parents to take me to Pope John. So I went to Pope John all by myself. I went through the registration, was given a house. I went to the house, and every senior was wondering how come this fresher is all by himself.
Yeah.
I had some seniors who had already been there and stuff like that. And the first day of PTA, first time PTA, the way they beat me that night.
Why?
I didn't get a visitor. But my parents didn't come. They didn't need to come.
You're a veteran.
So they said I was a ghost.
Oh.
They said I was a ghost because every 4-1 boy had a visitor and they had a home show.
Take me back a bit. But by this time, your dad and your mom, they were still married?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm so advanced in boarding that they didn't need to come. Give me what you need to give me, let me go.
You move on in life.
I didn't, that independence, and that is what has kept me.
Okay.
At Jonte, you will learn independence. You will learn perseverance. You will learn selflessness. You just imagine a young person, first term, you have a class of friends, you chop all your provisions with them, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks into about 12 or 14 week, your provisions get finished, and you have to survive.
Yeah.
When they have theirs, they want to be mean towards you. These are street, informal things that taught you endurance, forecasting, and how to live with plenty, and at the same time, how to live with so little.
At all. That's
So
impressive.
it transited into Pope John Senior High School. And Form 1, we met the last batch of the 6 formers. For me, I said, no, it didn't mean anything to me.
You had seen that.
Yeah, I've seen the West at a very young age.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Pope John was...
You're happy you went to Pope John. No regrets.
Oh, no. I mean, the Pope. We are talking of the Pope. The Vela Damus. We set sail.
I know a few Pope Johns who by now will be I wish to roll my eyes at them.
No. If you come to the East, I hear they have a Pope John at Nkwetia. They call it Nkwetia Pojos.
Yes.
They call themselves St. Peter's. So, Nkwetia is very... In Kangokra. Because before you become a saint, you have to become a Pope.
Okay.
The Pope dies before becoming a saint.
Yes. That's some education over there.
So, we are the secondary school in the East.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about the others. But if you enter the Eastern Corridor, the Eastern region, and you want a high school, it is Pope John.
No arguments. Please, after your secondary school, which university and what course did you study in secondary school?
So in secondary school, I was in the business class.
You chose it willingly?
I chose business.
Oh,
yes.
I mean, it makes sense.
I chose business. I enjoyed business. I was among the top 1%. I mean, top 1% of the class. And I had a very good time in business accounting, business management, costing, general sciences and everything. And I did very well. I think I had distinction at Pope John. And at the time, in the 98, if you finish Pope John and you want to go to school, you want to have a secondary school to do business or administration, you have to choose between the School of Admin in Legon or become a UCC.
Okay.
It was during that time that we had this university entrance exams and classes. When you finish school, you have to write an entrance exams and you proceed to the uni. So our time, they cancelled it in 2000.
Okay.
So even though we had prepared to write the exams, it was cancelled. So I got admitted at the University of Ghana. And at the University of Ghana, level 100, a fresher, just like a fresher in Parliament now, if you got admitted, and whatever course that you want to read, you have to do general courses. You have to select 4 courses at a time. Based on how well you do, at level 100, you progress to do your preferred course. So my chosen course was to get into the School of Administration to do business. So the first year, level 100, I had to do psychology, sociology, Kiswahili, Kiswahili, and I think philosophy.
Okay.
These courses should give you a grade point that will allow you to go to the School of Admin.
Okay.
So our predecessors, the cut-off point for School of Admin, I think was 3.6. So when we are done with the level, we are done with the second semester, level 100, and we came to level 200. And this is where the confusion started. You are not too sure whether to go to admin lectures, which we usually call as confidence lecture. You are not too sure whether to register with the courses that you did at level 100. 7th, 8th week, the School of Admin list has still not even come out. But mind you, you had A-levels who had started at level 200 and they were attending lectures. Those who were confident enough, who thought they had a grade point 3.6 and above, attended this confidence lecture or confi lecture. Then lo and behold, the 9th week of the semester, the School of Admin list came and the cutoff point was 3.75. Viewers, 3.75 meant that you should be doing an average of A- then.
Yeah, it's still the same. Yeah.
And yours truly I had a cut. I had a grade point of about 3.8 something.
Oh, wow.
So I got admitted to the School of Admin.
Okay.
And ever since,
you've just been flying your way through the accounting and the business line and all of that.
Yeah.
At what point did becoming an insurer come up? Because I know that by this journey, you're tilting towards accounting. But at what point did the insurance also... by the way, are you still insuring?
Yes, I am. So at the School of Admin, level 300, you have an option to specialize. Either to do health services administration, to do banking and finance, to do accounting, to do insurance, to do business management, or to do public administration.
Okay.
Insurance option was an option that had been there several years, but had been cancelled. Till the class or the cohort before us, they were just about 8. So I remember level 300, and a big shout out to my very good friend, Stanley Victor. So me and Stanley were all from Pope John. Stanley was also among the top 1% in our class. We went to level 300. We were in the best hall in Legon.
Which is?
Of course, I mean, you don't need to be told.
Which is?
If you are a male in our time. But okay, you see, you are just telling me that Commonwealth. So your people all of them are saying Commonwealth. Commonwealth Hall. So, President Mama was also a Vanda.
I'm told. How he turned out to be gentle, I don't know.
Oh, but am I rude?
I think there are a few exceptions, and you include that.
So we had to descend down to School of Admin, and we had a very serious conversation which option to specialize in. Most of our colleagues have gone for the accounting, the banking and finance. I said, Stanley, let's do something different. So people say, if you do insurance, you'll be too limited. I said, Stanley, it's good to be limited. Let's get into this thing. They went to see the course coordinator, Professor Agyemang. And he says that if they don't get more than 10 people, they will not be able to run the course. So we now have to go and be convincing other people to come and take up the specialization of the insurance program. And we had 12 people.
Oh,
so
wow.
The course continued.
Started with 12 of you.
Yes. 12 of us. We had a very good time, level 300. Immediately after the second semester, we had opportunity to go for an internship. I did my internship with SIC PLC then. And after school, I said after school, I've never written an application letter.
Because
right
the
after
insurance
school,
industry...
It was an emerging one, an evolving one, something that was so important to the development of the country, but the human resource capital has not been that developed at the time, even now. So those who wanted to do professional, those years had to go to West Africa Insurance Institute, YE in Gambia, because writing the Chartered Insurance Institute UK directly was a very daunting task. Practices very divergent. It was a very tough one, just like at the time when you had to be writing ACC and CMS like that.
Yeah.
So national service came up right after school. I remember very well, there was a mate, I've forgotten his name. I'm sure if he's watching me, he will know that he made a recommendation. There was one of our lecturers who was also the head of a department at the National Insurance Commission. National service usually starts in September.
Yes.
At the first posting that came, they had put me at the Tamale Regional Office of the National Health Insurance Scheme, because my dissertation for my bachelor's was studying the moral hazards in health insurances.
Okay.
I'm sure that might have influenced the administrators then. So I decided not to go to Tamale.
Why not?
Mesemenko.
Ade?
I don't know. I felt it was too far. I didn't want to go. So I was home. Service was ongoing. Around November, Seth calls me and tells me that Dr. Amenyado wants to have one of us to come and do service at the national service. But they will need somebody who had second class upper or first class. So I told him, I'll call you to give his number to us. Okay, Seth, thank you. I'll go. So I went to Dr. Amenyado. He saw me. We were just 12 in the class, but he couldn't recognize me. And I would say that I was not a class type. I was not attending lectures. So he said he didn't know me. But before I went, I had made sure all the courses that he taught us were...
You had rehearsed what
them, because I knew it was going to come up. So, oh, you taught me insurance management and underwriting. You taught me insurance liability. You taught me this. So how come you are so slow in the class? And I was, oh, sir.
I hope he's watching today, so he will know
sir,
that you are smarter.
In my very innocent, oh, sir, you know I'm the quiet type. If you don't call me, I don't talk. So there was going to be a management meeting that afternoon. So I should just hang around. They'll call me to interview me at the management meeting.
Did you wait?
Yes, I waited. So I waited. The meeting came up. They engaged me and immediately they did a transfer. And after 3 weeks, they sent me to Kumasi office. They said they wanted to open a Kumasi office of the National Insurance Commission to take care of the middle belt and the northern belt. So they are taking me there. I said, Auntie Emma, that was the head of the league. Auntie Emma, no. I said, yes, we have seen what you can do. There's going to be a meeting between the insurers. We want you to chair that meeting. So go and read on performance bond. That night.
Life has started for you very quickly.
That night, bond. I chewed all bonds. And I had a meeting with MDs and stuff like that. I moderate. I think I did very well. Immediately after the meeting, a week after, they took me to Kumasi, National Service Boy, going to open the high office of the Commissioner of Insurance in Kumasi to take care of the middle belt and the northern sector.
By this time, you were about 20 what?
Oh, 23, 24, thereabout.
The usual age for...
Yeah, 23, 24, thereabout. So I went, I recruited, I did my first recruitment, which was the office secretary and an office cleaner.
Interesting.
Office cleaner and office. So we started the office. We're doing a lot of radio education, insurance education, petty people, more or less complaints and settlements that people had, that they could not travel to Accra, complaints and settlement. And most of the time, we had something called the Motor Compensation Fund, you know, uninsured drivers, unlicensed drivers and stuff like that. When there are issues, they come. So I was moderating, more or less, moderating the activities of the...
And altogether, the course was becoming very apparent in your life.
My life.
Did you do your PhD in the same?
We'll get to it. So, I remember the following year, 2005, I was there when the managing director of the then Unique Insurance, Mr. Victor something, I've forgotten the other name, came there. I didn't know he was an MD. He had an interaction with me on a case that I've invited the Kumasi branch. But I think he was in Kumasi that weekend, so he decided to wait to come and see who is this person at the National Insurance Commission office in Kumasi that is inviting and writing letters left, right, center like that. So he came, after interaction, he asked me, hey, before you want. So he gave me his number. I thought that was the end of it. Then around July, you know, in National Service, July is like, I guess it's leave. Then you end it. Then around July, he called me that as soon as my service is over, I should come to Accra. Before you even come, I'm doing a letter for you. So he engaged me. Look, a small young person that the commissioner has a lot of confidence in you, has given you. So it was a big betrayal kind of. But in terms of the profession today, the role of the regulator is more or less like a referee. To be able to understand the refereeing work very well, you need to be a player.
Right.
So I wanted to be a player. I wanted to be an industry person. And maybe after so many years, then I can come to the point of the regulator and the referee. Then I can moderate appropriately. So I left the commission then, National Service over, came to Accra, to Unique Insurance, and the rest is history. I had to write the professional exams because when we realized that to be an assistant manager or to be a manager, if you don't have the CI, the Chartered Insurance Institute, you can't progress. And if I watch the progression, if you are even doing it on average 4 years or 5 years, it would take me 30 years before I can even become a manager, not even a senior manager. So no, there's a gap here. And the only thing to fill the gap is to endear myself to the professional program.
Right.
So I did it within 4 sittings. I chatted within 4 sittings. And in 2009, I qualified as a chartered insurer. Ever since, it's been progress. I rose to the position of becoming a managing director of an insurance company. At the time I was a managing director, my colleagues that I entered the industry with, most of them were just deputy managers. So the workers that took advantage of the human resource gap, which could only be bridged by capacity.
Yes.
And it has been like that. I did a lot of industry work, underwriting, marketing, agency, claims, everything that has to do with the technical functions of insurance, I did. Then got to the managing director, did it for a while. Politics came in.
Did you do your doctorates before your politics or whilst at it?
Whilst in politics.
Okay. I'll go for a quick break. When I come back, I don't know. Well, I've just noticed that there's no ring on his finger. I'll ask him for you, okay? Because for a man who has gone through all of these experiences, maybe I'd ask. And then would also understand why everything looking like it was okay in the industry that he chose, he still decided to want to go into politics. So just stay with me. You're watching Personality Profile. I'll be back shortly. Welcome back, and I've been sitting with Dr. Kingsley Agyemang, and he's been sitting so far in the last 1 month and a few days. He's been sitting on the most historic seat in Parliament, a Buakwa seat, and I'm excited to talk to him. But you drove all the way to Chebi, spoke to this fine gentleman, and he didn't ask whether he's on the market or he is not. Are you married?
So I have kids, and as I did indicate to you earlier on, when I saw the sacrifice of my parents, it was so telling on me that anytime I have an opportunity to have children, I should give them the very best. So I attended John Terry in the 80s, very revered institution. I have kids, and I'm also trying to give them
how many children do you have?
The best of education that I have. I have 3 kids, two girls and a boy. And so far, this is how far the Lord has brought us.
Are you planning on adding more?
I don't know.
I've heard that a man who can afford it should have a lot of children. Do you believe that as well?
I'm not too sure of the theoretical framework that underpins such.
I'm sure it's very traditional and oral. I also have not found any theories
because,
that.
I know Obama has very little children, like 2 or 3. Bush and co.
Let's come to Africa.
Africa. I know.
My father has 13.
Kwesi Chum doesn't have much. I know very well.
83 now. That's it.
I don't know.
You don't know. Like, God is the giver of children, so you never know.
They say it's a gift.
Yes, he just might gift you again.
If he becomes very kind to me again,
you'll be happy to accept it.
Why not? Why not?
So in 2016, correct me if I'm wrong, this is when you attempted politics.
Okay, so we were doing student politicking at the time. I remember in Commonwealth Hall, I contested for the seat of JCR Treasurer. I lost to a very good friend. So politics, I say, is a way of life, or has been a way of life in one way or the other. Just that the times determines what level to play at. So in 2015, I realized that there was a space. So I contested during the parliamentary primaries here in the Buakwa South, contesting Honorable Agyemang and Lawyer Kwam Boateng. And I lost terribly. I think I had 48 out of about 400 and something votes that were cast. It didn't stop there. And ever since 2015, when I came to the hurly belly of frontline politics at the parliamentary level, it's been push and pull, push and pull. And when we won power in 2017, I had opportunity to serve in the executive at the Scholarship Secretariat.
But before we even get there, what gave you that zeal to want to contest the seat at the time?
I'm sure most of the time leadership is within. I'm sure I built a lot of inner capacity. Don't forget, a managing director of a regulated company, insurance company, which I believe didn't come by mere fluke. Because the insurance business is not just for the free-hearted.
Okay.
It's not for the ordinary mind. If you look at in terms of the capacity you have even put into an industry, if penetration is even less than 2% as we speak now, then realize that you can't just get to the top by just accident or miracle.
Yeah.
So I believe I've built a lot of capacity within.
How did you feel when you lost the first attempt? It won't be the first time you're losing an election, but this would be the one that the spotlight would have been on.
I remember very well the hit-ups to the elections, and this is public. A day before the election, the then flag bearer candidates, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Adukufuor, Hackman Owusu Agyemang, and Osafo Mafo, all of them came to meet the party's delegates in the house of one of our contestants, Honorable Achia. So he showed clearly where...
That even if you won, the neck of the party, it wouldn't
that's
be
what
with
if
you.
I had won, they would be with me. But it showed clearly to delegates where the direction was going.
Okay.
So I wasn't too much surprised. But what I was happy about was I was able to wage a campaign that had to take the then flag bearer and all these party big wigs to come in support of one person.
That's a nice way to look at it.
It means that it wasn't just a mean contest, because there were about 270 something constituencies then. They didn't go to any of them, but they came here.
Fast forward, what did you do differently to win the primaries and even to win the seat? I mean, I would say that at the time, Honorable Atacha was not part of the primaries. But if he was in, do you think you'd have won?
See, politics is about bidding, timing. Anybody that had come to contest me in the 2024 primaries, I was going to be the person hands down. Oh, come on. This is a constituency that I had adhered myself to. Right from 2015. I've nurtured the constituency, I've invested in the constituency here, I'm with the people day and night through thick and thin. So there was no way.
He wasn't?
There was no, I'm not watching, I didn't contest. But anybody that would have come, there was no way. And I had about 95%. I didn't go through a yes or no. There was a contest.
It's a very expensive venture, is it not?
Which one?
Politics, especially the primaries level. It's a very expensive enterprise.
Depends on how you look at it.
What did it cost you?
By whichever way you look at it, it's like turning a triangle within a circle. The space displayed is about the same. So whether something is expensive or not, it depends on which side you are looking at.
What did it cost you?
Oh, what I would say it cost me time. It cost me time. And time is everything.
Did your time at the Scholarship Secretariat, how many years did you spend over there? Because then you were appointed...
Roughly 8.
8 years. Well, did it account for your winning in any way? Did it help you in any way?
I'm sure it did. Reason being that it was a position which needed a lot of staff. I mean, a dead, buried, forgotten institution. I mean, buried several years after 1960. You coming from here, the mere fact that people know that you work there gives some leanings. The leaning in terms of, it means that if Nana Addo has been able to place such a person in this high office, it means that there's a lot of substance in that person. Remember, the good book says that why send a person with no head to go and buy wisdom? I think Proverbs chapter 17, verse 13, thereabout. It means that if you are going to lead the human development or the human capacity of our nation, it cannot just be given to any other person. But a person who has showed a lot of witness, who has shown a lot of knowledge, who has distinguished himself very well. So I'm sure that thing gave me a lot of leanways or a lot of leverage.
Not to take you back in the years, and of course once you're in politics, these conversations will come up every now and then. Lamini said that were people very deserving of, at the last time I checked the statistics, people under your regime, a little over 29,000 people were on scholarship in this country, and many have said that what's the criteria? How do you arrive at giving it to these people? Is it by virtue of they being just Ghanaians, or what? How did you arrive at this 29,000 people?
That's a very good question, and I'm looking right into your camera to say to Ghanaians that I did not start the Scholarship Secretariat. 1960, extra ministerial body under the office of president. What was the precedence? So let's say I followed precedence and built on precedence. Okay. As we speak now, there's no legislation that regulates who to give to and who not to give to. So the overarching objective, as in all other enactment, is that it's for Ghanaians.
Okay.
So every Ghanaian is eligible.
Okay. And that really rests in very discretionary powers.
Extremely discretionary. Not me, but the office.
Okay.
Because I'm not the first registrar. 1960, the Secretariat was established. And that is how it has been. Maybe I went a step further by establishing what I call the Scholarship Review Committee.
What did that do?
So that was to assist in selection. And even decentralize it at the district level.
In a framework where there's no regulation, this committee, what were they looking at? What were some of the things they were looking at?
So they were looking the best to select. So the best to select. And bringing it to the district level meant that you are really bringing it to where it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Kind of. So under our local scholarship, we decentralized it. But running of government institutions is a very difficult thing. Where your spent or your income is 100% government of Ghana. There's no levy, there's no tax, just government of Ghana. Strictly spend on this, and that is what you have to spend. So even in selecting, if you are not mindful, because every meeting has to be serviced. You have review committee that consists of the local authority, the district education directorate. If there's a tertiary institution within the district, they will also have a rep, the rep of MP, the MPDS rep, and staff from Accra, all the 260 districts. They go into a district, depending on the minimum number of days that they spent then was about 5 days.
Just to be able to
anybody that has applied, who's eligible, has to be interviewed.
Okay.
And this has to be paid for. So you realize that if you're not very careful, it's a very tight rope. The money that you spend on selection could take care of the needs of so many
other scholarships, persons who would have been on a scholarship. Okay.
So it was a tie rope there.
Okay, okay. Now you're in Parliament. Are you going to raise the issue of some form of regulation, at least? So
when, I think Fourth Estate made a documentary then, Joy, you interviewed, and I said there was no legislation. As soon as I said there was no legislation, the Nkukon Ketenkete candidate picked it up and said that if he had opportunity...
Who would that be? What's the Nkukon Ketenkete?
Maybe when I finish. That if he had opportunity to become president, he will make sure that within 90 days or 120 days, he will bring a bill to Parliament that will select against politically exposed people having scholarship. So there's just a reminder, 7th January, today is what?
So there's some few days after Valentine's, 17th?
17th, so you spend about 37 days kind of after the swearing in. So we are waiting for the bill.
If that bill comes in, it is something you would support it, especially...
I will support it. And especially if he's going to, like he said, he's going to select against politically exposed people. And the definition of politically exposed people has to be very clear, or it is already clothed in other enactments. Secondly, the bill will have sources of funding for the Secretariat, where maybe a percentage of something could go there. If you don't do that, we'll continue to have these problems, where students go abroad or locally, you're unable to take care of them, because it is whatever allocation that is given to you is at the availability of funds. But when it's entrenched in something, a statutory source, maybe the COVID that they said they are going to scrap, or rationalize, whatever. It's rationalized, but they can take it to scholarship. Even though it's a year marked for COVID is no longer there, or the betting tax, maybe if you tell Ghanaians that betting tax was about 10%, now you are going to reduce it to, let's say, 5 or 2.5%, and it's going to go into scholarship.
So for you, two things. One, there should be a legal framework that regulates it. And in this legal framework, there should be a source of funding.
Statutory source of funding
to that. Okay.
What will Get Fund be, if not the fact that it is statutory?
Yeah. Let's get a bit more into insurance as well. The insurance economy in this country. What do you make of it?
A very important organ like the liver, but a lot has not been done. The statistics shows that 2% penetration rate. It means that about 98% of Ghanaians are not insured in one way or the other. It's a very dangerous thing, and it is all because of our culture.
Not the cost of it?
No, the culture. It's not the cost at all. You'll be surprised. I will do some calculation for you now. Nyamebeye, and our communal systems of living, where when you are circumstanced, you feel entitled that others should come to your aid. For instance, if you look at Section 208 of the Insurance Act that talks about compulsory fire insurance for all commercial places. So even here, it's a commercial place. We are not insured. Joy FM, are you insured? I'm not too sure. Okay, if that's good.
Yes, we are.
So many things we live for granted and appeal to supernatural. Till such time when Ghanaians will begin to realize that we should be responsible for our own things, especially things that protect the vulnerable. And I made a statement on the Kantamanto thing.
Yes.
I mean, for how long are we going to live like this? Kwadasu Wood Village. But there was an intervention.
So are you calling for the traders or the sellers insuring their products, their businesses, or you're calling that government insures these market centers?
Okay, so it is like this. When the structures or the subject matter of insurance is not insurable, you can't insure.
Right.
So nobody will go and insure Kantamanto.
Because of what? The wooden
because
structure?
Of the structure. So President Mahama, the first John, he made an intervention at KJTR Phase 1, which was properly structured. Okay, there has not been fire. Even when there was fire, it didn't cause much damage because of how it has been built.
Yes.
Let's repeat the same because that intervention was good. It is after that we can get to the traders to insure. Because KJTR is insured. Just that they've not been paying their premiums for the past 2 years or so. It means that they're
you're out of the insurance or you are not? Because you still speak insurance very well.
I'm in because I had the opportunity to become a board member of SIC Insurance in 2021 December. Even became an acting board chair. And I was the board committee chair, technical committee chair of the board. So I'm in the industry.
So this is how you know that you don't pay the premium?
Yes, they've not paid.
If they made it a bit, would you push for that so that there's a standard fee which is at least affordable?
Insurance is always affordable. Do you know if you have a house that is worth, let's say, how much is a house? I'm not being an aura, but how much?
If you like yourself to be oral, I'll give you the answers.
So let's say a basic housing in Accra, in a very good middle class. Let's say it's about $100,000.
Yes.
Do you know how much insurance premium you can pay for the building? It ranges between 0.15% and 0.2%.
We like the figure, we don't like the percentage.
So to relate, it means that is 100,000, and you're even using the high, which is 0.2. You'll be paying like $200 every year.
Every year. This math that you are doing,
Yeah.
unless we come and find you for you to do the math, because when the insurance will do the math, it's not this simple like that.
That is what it is.
Well, okay.
That is what it is.
Okay.
So if you're not purchasing insurance, and something happens to you, and you go to your church, that the church will help you, or you stop going to church because they didn't come to help you, you are not responsible for your own thing.
Understandable. Let me pick your thoughts on the revocation of persons who were appointed immediately or after December 7. Let me pick a thought on that. What do you think?
Very unfortunate. Very, very, very unfortunate. one wonders whether it was a coup d'etat or an elections. I believe it went through an elections, and even within 24 hours after the post, there was an early and gracious concession, which means that Ghana is supposed to be a very continuous nation. Mm-hmm. Some Ghanaians were engaged because governance is continuous. The term of the president ended the midnight of 6 January 2025. So at all material times, the public service was active and working. Even when the executive power has been switched off, public service was still active.
Yeah.
So you come and you sack Ghanaians who were given an opportunity by a Ghanaian. What are you telling us?
Has this happened before?
I'm not too sure.
Has it happened in its way before? Do we have a symptoms of something like this happening before? Because the NDC accused the NPP of similar situation that in 2017, when the NPP was taking over, the NPP said that there shouldn't be new appointments, there shouldn't be new signing of contracts and implementation of policies, and they gave their reasons.
Okay.
What then would be the use of the Transition Act?
Okay.
Because many have said that there should be some excesses that will be cured.
I'm happy you said that if that was what you're saying was what it was. I'm happy you're saying that the NDC then raised issues. I mean, knowing then thyself, presume God not to scan. And there's this profound statement that has been with me for a very long time. It says, criticize less, contribute more, okay? Because the nation needs to be built by builders and not by auditors. You said so many things then. I believe they were happy when they were saying that. Could that be, were they happy when they were criticizing?
I wouldn't know.
Okay, but I mean, definitely they were not. Because they saw that it was not proper.
Okay.
Now you have an opportunity. Ghanaians gave you about 50-something%. What makes you even think that it was so bad when you have not even done auditing?
Help me understand this. How do we want to get into governments with politics? And when the politics is being played out, we don't want to accept it.
I mean,
because
you can't get to government without doing politics.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Which means that we've got to live with the excesses of politics.
No.
Because then they say that what was good for you at the time is also good for them today.
No problem. But what I meant by politics was that, for me, politics is leadership. For me, politics is leadership. You can't get to the high office where you are under the oath to protect Ghanaians and not to expose them. What audit? Look at this. There was a statement by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwifery Association. You know, there's a CS issue in the northern,
Western,
yes, in the northern regions where a good number of people are dying. Cholera is breaking up. As I speak with you now in the constituency, I'm going to have a meeting with the Municipal Health Directorate on cholera. Issues of health are essential services that you can't play with. And I'm very passionate when it comes to issue, especially public health issues, because my PhD is in public health.
Okay.
Okay. So what the president is telling us now, that we should go back. Look at his Facebook tweet. He said that Ghana is for Ghanaians and those whose jobs have been revoked was not right. He said all those things. Internet doesn't lie. What was not right then is now good now.
What happened to, and then quickly we wrap on this particular topic, what happened to the directive that the presidency at the time, though he had not been sworn in? Because I like to think that that's what the Transitions Act seeks to do. It seeks to really cure these excesses when it says that they aren't sure of their coffers. Things are not looking good economically. The NPP may disagree, the NDC would have their position, but they're saying that from where we're sitting, it doesn't look like we have enough money, so do not appoint anybody. There shouldn't be any new appointments from December 7. Did it matter at all? Or did it look like a certain government at the time calling the bluff of an incoming government?
Appointment in the public service doesn't take a day. You realize that you need to have financial clearance from the ministry. the few ones that I saw, the clearance was as far back as August. And it goes through a process. So if there's a clearance to engage maybe a certain 20,000 nurses,
It would have started long ago.
It would have started long ago.
Okay.
Maybe the appointment letters were issued in or after the elections.
So you agree with the Member of Parliament for Tafo, Vincent Asefa, who says that if they find any just cause, he's ready and the MPP is ready to lead the pack of people who may have been affected.
The MPP is always ready to support the vulnerable. We are always ready to protect those who have been suppressed because our ancient freedom is being threatened.
What about the former finance minister?
That is the worst thing that has ever happened. And
I've not even asked exactly what about him.
Because it's a public thing.
Okay.
And the leader of government business, Mahama Yarega, has come to apologize to Parliament.
Which part of it?
The invasion of his private dwelling.
Okay. What about his declaration as fugitive from
But that
justice?
one the public even knows.
Then what?
The basic laws, I'm not a lawyer, but all the enactments that they have told us, and even from the word English fugitive, I believe that is not what has happened.
They say that they have cause to believe that he is avoiding
his medical records, which he filed with the high office of the OSP, shows that he was seeking medical attention.
What do you think that OSP is up to?
I don't know. I don't know what he's up to. I don't know what he's up to. The positions of the law and the exercise of the law, most of the time, we can err. That is why there's always opinions that are expressed. So I believe that these issues that the legal minds have expressed are things that are all going to help to shape the office of the special prosecutor.
I didn't ask you. Do you have a favorite food?
Food.
Forgive me, I just switched off from...
Food is not a friend, but I eat what is available.
Really? But if we had two options that were available, if it was rice and banku, which one would you choose?
It depends on what I did. The taste and preferences evolve over time.
Right.
Maybe you wake up in the morning, you feel like at rice, but in the afternoon, it may be something else. So it depends on what is available and what needs to be eaten.
In this interview, in this 1 hour interview, you have quoted nearly about 3 scriptures already. What church do you attend? I'm
an elder of the Apostolic Church and even the chairman of the educational committee of the church.
Because the scriptures were just flying in and kicking in like karate.
But if the foundation be broken, what can the righteous do?
There you go.
Our whole foundation is built on an anchor that cannot be shaken.
Do you play a sport? Do you love a particular sport?
I'm a golfer.
I
play golf. Even yesterday, I went to play at Tafo.
Oh, there's a golf park.
Of it's just about 10 minutes drive from here.
Okay.
This enclave is an enclave of everything.
Have you by chance heard any rumor that Chebi is known for illegal mining?
I know there's mining here, but whether it's legal or not, I don't know.
But are there many mining concessions around here?
There's a lot of mining concessions here. You have the Chebi Gold Fields. You have the Newmont. You have there's one. There are a lot of mining, Moss mining and stuff like that. You know, this is a reciprocity of minerals.
Right.
You have gold, diamond, bauxite, manganese, and stuff.
What does that mean to you as a member of parliament? Are you going to be scanning around and sniffing around? Now where there is mining, where there's a lot of mining, I like to think that illegal mining will not be far off from that as well. I don't want us to revisit the Professor Frimpong Boate's reports, but have you thought of sniffing around, looking around to look at those who are mining legally but unsustainably? Would you say that there's unsustainable mining happening
I
here?
agree with you to the extent that an apple does not fall far from its tree. So there may be instances of illegalities that are fraught with this whole mining business. But the power rests with the executive.
No, but you find it first.
I'm coming. The power of the mining concession and everything rests in the presidency. Okay? Because the traditional authority that is even here does not even have the power to let's say, exercise any form of authority under things that are beneath the earth. By the mining laws or the laws of our natural resources, it is vested in the executive. So when the president shows way, we can follow and help. But this is just a quick one. I'm not too sure what has been done about the 19 people who were killed in Obuasi trying to invade the mines.
The investigative, they've launched an investigation into that. Reports we have not seen yet.
19 people died because they wanted to take hold of a mining concession of a country. And up to now, we've not heard anything. So during the campaign too, we heard a lot of things. As informers they were, that if they won the presidency, they'll give them an opportunity to do the galamsey and stuff like that. So we are watching. We can only watch.
Is that what they meant? Is that what they said?
But they said they should go and vote for them because they'll allow them to continue mining.
But that's not galamsey. Continue mining does not mean it will be galamsey.
Okay,
galamsey
so,
means
no,
illegal.
I get you, MFA. So let's look at it this way. You go to a pit where everything shows in the full glare of the camera that the activities that are ongoing there are not sustainable, which cannot be backed by legislation or legality. He says that when I come out, I will let you continue your work.
I'm sure that I can have a conversation with you for 3 days, non-stop. I'm very certain.
Freedom has been threatened.
At least I know that there's something that we both love, Daddy Lumba.
Lumba. And you remember when I made a commemorative statement under Article, I think 93 of the Standing Order in Parliament to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the painful death of J.B. Dankwa. Even when the rules are so clear, under I think 93.5, that when a member makes a statement, you have every member has a right to make remarks, but your remarks should not generate a debate.
Yeah.
A member of parliament from the NDC side was so emphatic to call J.B. Dankwa a traitor because he had read a book. And in that hallowed chamber, I felt so miserable. Not because it was being said about Dankwa, but if you have an opportunity in that revered chamber and you want to make reference, I mean basic writings, academic writings, when you make referencing, and the paper or the book is not a peer-reviewed document. They want to cite against the standing order caution. It means that your reference was just under what? Convenience. You called us a traitor, you called J.B. Dankwa a traitor. A person who has contributed so much to our political leanings as Ghanaians. So that freedom that we came from ancient Ghana with has been threatened. And we say that Dankwa proposed the name Ghana. It was through his research under the ancient Sudanese Empire Ghana that he was making reference to.
I have some readings to do.
A lot. So readeth maketh a man, as Alexander Pope puts it.
Yeah.
And that is why we should all be reading, so that we are guided, especially we who are called honorables. Because the Hansas are very clear.
Yeah.
The Hansas are very clear. People are making reference to even the 1950s Hansas. So we should be very mindful and be more guided.
Just like Dr. Kingsley Agyemang, don't wait to be an honorable before you read, because this man, when you couldn't express somebody taking his Milo from him, today he's turned out to be a good reader, I like to think. Not just a good mathematician, but it's a pleasure having us here in Chivi. And it's a pleasure sitting with you and having this great conversation.